Hi, I'm Danger Dan Jers, the host and GM of the D&D Real Play podcast, D&D Dark. Join us on Wednesdays for an absurd, over-the-top comedy horror adventure, starring some of history's most infamous monsters.
I'm Ben Magnet. I play Mary Frankenstein, our barbarian.
I am Daniel Cruz. I am playing Imhotep the Mummy, our cleric.
I'm Jordan, and I play Larry Talbot, a lycanthropic warlock.
I am Grayson, playing Jet Griffin, the Invisible Man, the party's rogue.
I am Aaron. I play the Phantom of the Opera, our bard.
For more information, go to dndarkpodcast.com and listen to us anywhere you find podcasts.
Hey everybody, this is Davis over at the CFG, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of Pop Culture Gems. This is a series where we talk to amazing creators, artists, cosplayers, voice actors, and so much more. If you like the interviews we do with these terrific guests, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the CFG channel, or go to our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, to not miss an episode. Today, I am interviewing two amazing people in video games who have made an incredibly fun game that not only me or the CFG Gamecast crew love to play, but also a ton of other gamers out there. I would like to welcome Charles Brungardt and Gerritzen from Illfonic Studios, the studio who made the recent Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. How are y'all two doing today?
Awesome. Thanks for having us. Great. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, right now I'm already so jealous because I've always wanted the proton pack that you have in your background right there. Oh my god, it's so great. I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, and I just been like, and then seeing that y'all made this game, was like I was so totally hyped when it came out. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Most definitely. Well, let's get into it. What gave y'all the idea to make the latest Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, like a multiplayer first-person shooter?
Wow. Chuck, do you want to go, or
I think
how do you want to do
the original hotel scene in the original Ghostbusters, I think, was the inspiration to make this. I think just always watching that movie over and over again as a kid. We always kind of looked at what IPs would make fun games. We're definitely a multiplayer studio, and we just kept going back to that. How fun that would be. How fun would it be to actually experience that and try to work through the that whole scene essentially. And Jared and I just kind of talked about it, and we're like, that'd be awesome. Is that you kind of align with that, Jared?
Yeah, sure. Chuck. No, I mean, we make asymmetrical games, and so when F-13 came out, I joined a little bit after that, and Chuck and I were talking about what else could we do? And Predator and Ghostbusters came up in the exact same conversation, and so it's one of those things where we did Predator after F-13, and then we did Ghostbusters, but we've been talking about Ghostbusters for 4 or 5 years, and just kind of like, oh, wouldn't it be cool? But I mean, for me, I've been a Ghostbusters fan ever since a little kid, so I've always wanted to play this game. So like that's kind of where I feel like that a lot of that just kind of like, it needs to be like this, and it's definitely an absolute passion project.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah, I was going to actually ask that. It's like, it sounds like it's this game. I mean, y'all made really fun games in the past, and like you said, the style of the games is exactly what y'all are known for this. But this one really feels a lot different. Even though, I mean, it's kind of the same on the style, but this one just felt like this was close to y'all's heart. Like this was clearly, like I was going to ask, like how much of a passion project was this for y'all to have the chance to kind of get into like to get an IP like Ghostbusters and fiddle around with it and just make it y'all's own.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I made a proton pack out of cardboard, and so for a little kid, I mean, my uncle was a big SNL fan, and so he took me to the Ghostbusters film, and I never saw it. I never knew what it was. That this is the 80s, right? So go in, and that first scene, I'm like afraid, and the librarian just scared the crap out of me, and now I'm afraid of ghosts all of a sudden. But like it was one of those things where it just that film struck such a crazy nerve for me as a kid, and then the cartoon started to come out, and then I had all the toys, and it was just one of those things where it's just like this child that refused to grow up and made video games professionally for a living. It's just one of those things where being able to, I mean, as you can see, I've got a lot of Ghostbusters in here, but it's like that's just one of those things where I when we pitched it to Ghost Corps, and they're like, yeah, Dan Aykroyd's going to look at this, and Ivan needs to approve all of this, and then we get to present it to Ivan Reitman and talk to him, and we got the full Ivan treatment, and it was just like, this is so crazy, because like he even at the end we showed kind of like a step by step of a game experience in storyboards, and talked him through it, and like he was a very old man that didn't play multiplayer games, doesn't really understand the gaming thing, and we would say like, yeah, this person is your friend, and this person's your friend, and then the ghost is your friend as well, and you're doing, and at the end he's like, why haven't we done this before? Like why hasn't Ghostbusters ever done this? So it was really rad having Ivan get it and go like, yeah, this is shocking that it hasn't been done as well. And so it's just like that all that passion he got, and it's it definitely miss him quite a bit, but it's been it's been exciting. Like if we're gonna get Dan Aykroyd and Ernie, we need to do a really cool story and all of the things that we've been doing. And I'm taking up all of Chuck's time. So
no, I mean, the only thing to really add is that, yeah, I used to go into our local video store that was probably a few blocks from my house, and would always just rent the original Ghostbusters. And it was always, remember the guy told my mom, VHSs cost a ton back then,
like $300-400.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
So crazy.
So he's like, you guys rented this enough, you probably could have owned it a couple times over, so maybe you should look at actually buying it. So it was awesome. It was always on in the house, and yeah, I mean, honestly, don't tell any of the other IPs we've worked on, but it's probably my favorite out of all the ones we've had to work on. So
Arnold's gonna be so mad at you, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's like y'all have done great work in the past, but this one, it's just like it just shows how much more and beyond y'all have done on this, and it's great. And it's kind of funny because like when you were saying that you made a proton pack out of cardboard, but when I was growing up, I was using like manila paper with staples and stuff to make up my own little fake one and stuff, and it just rips all the time. And I was like making a new one every day after I watched that movie. I mean, that movie really hit a chord. I don't know why, but I
got in so much trouble because I sawed just being a kid, I was stupid, right? So I found a saw, and I sawed the broomstick in half, not thinking that anyone really would notice that the broomstick was shorter. I got in so much trouble. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's just fucking funny.
That's hilarious. It's funny how what kids do, just stupid.
Oh,
I mean, it was good at the time. It was smart at the time. So let's just go with that. But like, well, when y'all made this, like, how long was development of this game?
About 2 years. It actually, the crazy thing is we were talking about it for a long time. Like it was something that we approached pretty much right after F-13. And it just took us a little bit longer to get off the ground. And so we did Predator first, and then came back to it. And it just, the same idea was there. It always just stuck with us. It always just made a lot of sense. So we feel like it took a long time to put together and get off the ground. And when we go back to some of the early emails we had with Sony Pictures and Ghost Corp, we're like, oh man, it's been, it's been a while. But yeah, development from when we started to finish was right around 24 months. So
yeah, that first photo was from the lot is like 2018.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'd been talking to them and thinking about it quite a bit. And then we did Predator, and then from Predator we started working on it. But while we're working on Predator, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I guarantee you our next game is going to be better than our other games, and that's kind of the cool part is of the evolution of the studio is like, F-13 was what 20 people, Predator was like 30 some odd, and then Ghostbusters is even more people. So like Illfonic as a studio is just going to keep on making better games because the studio was very independent. Like we are an independent publisher and developer, so like it's living by the skin of our teeth. But as we've grown and as our games have gotten better and we're able to do more with each project. And so like our support plan for Ghostbusters right now is really rad, but our next game is whatever it's going to be even better because of all of the learnings, and our staff is getting so much better, and our technology is getting even stronger. So it's amazing that you see the quality growth, but that's just the great part is like whatever we're going to do is going to be even better because we are definitely changing and evolving in the best way that we can.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. And is there something in the game that you're proud of including to give the the player the experience of Spirits Unleashed? Like, what is there anything that maybe something that's like, oh, that I hope the person who picks this up experience this, or is there anything in there that that kind of comes out to you?
So much in this game. I mean, it's and sorry, Chuck, I'm not just going to be nerded out the entire time.
No,
like,
go ahead.
It's like with Predator, we were able to bring Arnold into it, and we got to write this cool story of like his backlog with everything. And so, that writing bug really kind of, or storytelling bug really bit us hard. And so with this game, it's like, well, we have to get Ernie and Dan. And so when we got them, it was like, we have to write a really cool story around it. We have to bring some lore. We have to bring all this great stuff. And so working with Ernie and Dan, but also working with Ernie and having him do a different Ernie Hudson Winston, you'll Google it. He gets possessed, and having just us writing this idea and then going into the studio with Ernie and him doing this voice that we didn't even know that he had, and it's just such an awesome voice, and he just sounds like a Star Wars villain, and it was just like second nature to him, and that was amazing. And then all the story that we had, bringing in Greg Miller, who's a big Ghostbusters fan but's been a friend forever, and writing him this little part and just making it like the shittiest character we could make it, and then having him really find that the swarmiest voice we possibly could, and then bringing Rahul in and adding all of this Tobin Spirit Guide stuff, because like the Tobin Spirit Guide is in all of the lore of everything, and it's so cool. But like having Ghostbusters allow us to make this haunted Tobin Spirit Guide in the ghost world and all that. I mean, it's just like all of these great things that we're able to do just with this small little story that we got to add to this one of my like childhood beloved movies, cartoons, and being a part of it. It's just like, can't believe this is happening. This is amazing. And it's just like, that's huge. And then all the technology and all just the fucking game, sorry.
It's all good. See, but I just love it though. Just simply like, man, you're totally hyped on this. That's so great. I'm sorry. What were you going to say, sir?
Oh, I was just going to say, for me, it was getting it to actually work, the particle thrower and, tethering and trapping a ghost, those mechanics coming together and doing that with your friends. I think, when we started, I didn't know how that would work, how it would come together, and just, Jared and the design team and Jordan and all them, they just, and the engineers, everything, it just all came together, animations just where it worked, and it feels like being a real Ghostbuster if you were out there doing it. You know, I think we got as close as you could get in a virtual sense to making that work and feel good. So I was really proud when that came together, proud of the team, and it was just, oh my God, like we're doing it. We're making this Ghostbusters game. So
I mean,
No,
to spring off that, the crazy part is like what Chuck's talking about is like this, like we stayed 1-to-1 where it's like you're tethering and ghost trapping and all that. Like that's like game design, right? But that was game design back in the 80s, before multiplayer games, before any three-dimensional games, before anything like that. And so it's like what Dan and Ivan and the originators of Ghostbusters, like this wacky idea became an amazing game mechanic. And it's just like it's so weird and it's so cool. Like it was really setting in like right before we launched, like holy shit, man, like we took someone else's like, you know, goofy, you know, movie ideas and it worked in a game. Like this is just wild, you know. So
no, I mean, it's kind of funny when you're pointing that out, because I was looking at one of my questions here was about the game mechanics itself, because like one of the things I loved to do when I was playing this game is to mess around with the loadouts, and also messing around with like, you know, the ghost settings and stuff, to kind of be, it's like mix and match. Like once you get more options, more accessible after you're leveling up, the more that you can kind of be like back and forth to kind of see how far you could balance your, you know, because like I was terrible at shooting ghosts, but I loved like just causing hijinks and crazy hullabaloo of a mess with being a ghost, you know, itself. So like, but like I was just like, the way it was very simple. It was very easy to kind of pick up, to just say, hey, I've never experienced this, and I've never seen this before. This is the first time of me trying this out for the first time. But it was very insanely like simple to catch on itself. And I was just wondering, like the way how that mechanic worked itself, like how important was it for like the weapons and ghost options, was it for you to have the gamer or, you know, player to pick that up easy to learn that?
we wanted it to be natural. I think for us, this was our opportunity to bring asymmetrical games to a wider audience. I mean, typically they've been violent horror games, and so we knew that we spent a lot of time making sure that, you know, a kid or something could pick this up and play it. And it's interesting because we did have people play that never even seen Ghostbusters, you know, in other territories, other countries where it's not as popular. And it was kind of interesting because it took them a little bit longer to pick it up. So if you've seen a Ghostbuster film or the cartoon or anything, you kind of knew what to do right away, that you needed to bust and trap the ghost, and you had these tools. But yeah, that was an important, really important goal for us, is to make it easy to pick up, fun to master, and really just bring it to that wider audience. And so we used to all the time kind of say like, okay, can our kids pick it up essentially, and all that stuff. So it was a big, it was important for us to figure those out early on with the game mechanics, and it took some time to get there. I mean, there are some complicated bits or parts that we had originally that were a lot harder for people to pick up, and so it was just really a lot of watching how people played. And I don't know, I'm not the best gamer, and I think it's an advantage for our studio because they could watch me play and watch me get confused at things, and then they're like, okay, if Chuck can figure it out, then a 5-year-old can, you know. So anyways,
that's very true. Yeah, you know, any game we make, it's like we need to watch Chuck play it, because if Chuck gets it, then we're good. But yeah, I mean, that is like, it's awesome that you get it. You know, it's like, you know, the Ghostbusters technology, it evolves, because you know, we had to have something for that hardcore player to do, and you know, mess with and find new tools. And then the ghost is exactly about like, oh, I might not be a shooter person, but wait, I get to go and fuck with people and mess around and do all this goofy stuff and kind of like outsmart. And honestly, it was one of those things where, me being such a Ghostbusters fan, like I inherently always wanted to play as a Ghostbuster.
Mhm.
And then as our dev camaraderie of this game became more and more I guess volatile. It would be like, okay, I'm gonna be a ghost now and I'm gonna mess with these guys, and that's the fun part, is like just the development process. When you're having fun and you're laughing, I feel like that's when you're making a good game, versus just like serious all the time. And I think that the absurdity of the ghost is just so weird and so funny. And so, like, we're evolving that. Like, we just released Muncher, put out new game mechanics for him. He eats the objects that you normally hide in, so that mechanics kind of evolving as the games continues, and in the live service factor. It's I love playing as Ghost just to mess with people. Honestly, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't even care if I win. I just want to sabotage their pack or do things to mess with them, and then go and hide and just like make them go like, what the heck is going on? So yeah,
It's something gratifying about that. I don't know what it is. It's just like, it's just so nice to just do that to people. It's fun.
oh yeah, absolutely.
It's actually kind of nice too that like you said, Chuck, you're basically like the built-in like Q&A group within the group, just to say, oh, okay, 5-year-olds.
No, because our QA is actually really good at playing.
They're too good, so
He's-
they have to
he's-
watch me.
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like us going and asking some 7-year-old kid at the mall, hey, play this, and can he do it? So,
Oh, that's great. And
Yeah, the QA team has to take it easy on me these days, because there was one time where they'll find every exploit in the game and then use it against you to show you, hey, look, I broke the game, which is their job, right? But
right.
yeah, but they've been taking it easy on me because I got so mad one time because they kept using this exploit over and over again. I'm like, stop! Like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, okay. So, anyways,
That's a
but the
yeah,
exploit got fixed because Chuck came in and said, this needs to change.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Hey, you have that power to do it, and yeah, okay. It's like, hey, I'll take my ball and play somewhere else.
Exactly,
how I look at it. And are y'all surprised at the level of like the high level play in this game is insane to me. It's like I saw some videos of some people of this, like were y'all like how like were y'all surprised to see streamers and players like have adapted, like how they adapted to your game and then decided to say, you know what, let's break this and decide to make this like like ridiculous.
it's expected. It's expected. I mean, the thing that was not expected was there to be a Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed league where there's actually like such high level play where we felt like, okay, we need to support this, and we made them jerseys. And so now when they're able to play, they can wear their team jerseys and all that stuff. And that was super unexpected. Like, we always felt like, okay, people will play it, people will definitely take it and find those exploits, and we'll have to track them, we'll have to constantly be balancing the game. But the high level of play where it was a joke at first, and it was like, oh, that's pretty funny, like, bringing Ghostbusters esports. But then it was like, wait a minute, now they're actually having teams. Now these teams are showing up. Now these teams are actually spending time to get like really good logos. Now the league is actually cutting and editing like Monday Night Football intros to it. And it's like, what the heck's going on here? And that's the thing that was super unexpected. Because anytime you put a game out, like that's the funny part, is like, no matter how many hours we put into the game, and we put a lot of hours into the game, there are people that are going to put 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 hours into it, which is awesome. And then we just need to keep an eye on it and find those like edge cases that they find, and then just kind of balance it out. I mean, we're putting out a balance pass pretty soon that's going to add to all of the quality of assurance of the game, and making sure that those really, really sticky edge cases kind of get softened.
No, that's
They've
cool.
been awesome too, just posting videos of what they feel could be better, or what's maybe broken, and all that stuff. And it's always awesome watching kind of those hardcore players that are really just really, really good top gamers come in and play a game, and you just see stuff they do that you have no idea could be done when you make it. And it's just cool to watch that and watch it evolve, and people play different than how we intended. So
yeah,
definitely.
Or their skill quality is just insane.
Like the some people's coordination, like sometimes, because like I don't usually like I said, I usually have play with my friends and also with like my podcast co-host and stuff, and we just like to mess around. But to say like sometimes these people are insanely coordinated with the like with the Ghostbusters, like how they flank and then they to kind of box people in and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, if you throw the grenade here, but then wait for your trap, and then you do this and so and so. It's like, oh my god, it's like there's like that's how much thinking there is sometimes in this. It's quite amazing to see. I love like the when I saw that. And I know like actually when you I did have a question about the league itself, because I was actually wondering about it itself, and that I knew that you like the league was like created literally, like, I mean, when did the game come out? Like in October, I believe. Yeah, and the league came out like in November, like literally like a month later. So it goes to show that people were really interested in like love this game. And when they made the league itself, I just didn't know like how much involved like y'all itself were a part of it, or but y'all are clearly endorsing it
Absolutely.
somewhat, right?
Yeah. It was, I felt like it was kind of like, I mean, this is not your standard multiplayer game where it's, red team, blue team, everyone has the same stuff. And so like that's what we're used to competitive gaming being. It's like like Predator didn't have like, I mean, there were people that were playing and getting competitions together, and then, same with F-13, but it's like it wasn't someone going out like, I'm making a Ghostbusters league. It's like, that's funny. That's like, I remember when Rocket League came out, I jokingly like Rocket League esports, and I jumped on it, and I and it was one of those things where it's like, that's funny, but I was also in competitive gaming at the time. And so it was like that game was an amazing competitive game. Now Ghostbusters, the entire time, it's like, it's like F-13 or Predator. It's a fun game to play with your friends. It's a fun game to matchmake and grind through the game and have this, kind of fun experience. But I never thought that a league with people that are like practicing, getting ready for their match, and then the match is going online, and listening to just their communications is like listening to CS:GO or Call of Duty communications between those players. And it's just like, wow, these guys really do love it. And so like that's where our we're trying to figure out ways that we can support it more. But yeah, that was all them. And it's,
I think it started with a couple guys
so strong too.
Yeah, I think it started with a couple guys out of Australia that were, fans of the game, that had there were influencers out there that had some early keys, and then they kind of just built from there. And so it was really cool to see. And because like when I mean, I've known Jared for a long time, and he was in development, and then he did a couple year stint in esports. And at the time we were making we're developing F-13, and he would come over and take a look at it. This is right before he joined Illfonic, and he's like, kind of jokingly, like, I want to make this an esport. I want to figure out how to make this an esport. But it was always kind of a joke to us, right? Because we're, asymmetrical is tough. It's like getting balance in asymmetrical games are really, really difficult, and having a competitive scene behind it where it is kind of these even matches. Sometimes the Ghosts win, sometimes the Ghostbusters win, but it's not like we're seeing the Ghostbusters win every time. And I think we even kind of saw it when we took this game out in our reviews, where some reviewers are like, oh, Ghosts are overpowered. Some are like, Ghost is underpowered, Ghostbusters are overpowered. So it's almost like, okay, if you're getting that in an asymmetrical game, you're starting to get it right. And there's always balance updates we're going to make and try to make it better. And there's always, especially with asymmetrical, there's always ways they figure out how to gang up on a Ghost, or the Ghost figures out how to gang up on the Ghostbusters. And so we're always kind of watching, trying to tune. But it is incredible to see this whole scene come out of it, and see like, whoa, tonight the Ghost won, or tomorrow night the Ghostbusters win. So it's cool to see the kind of even playing field there. So
we're always data mining our own game to see what it is, because there's people always say what, oh, this is what it is. It's like, well, okay, I'm looking at the numbers. Like we're always on that stuff.
I mean, it's actually surprising, because like I've always felt that, I mean, for the most part, even if it like I never really had the feeling that one was stronger than the other, though. I mean, it felt like it's actually been pretty good. And then like if you lose, I think it's more like you're not really mad when if you win or you lose. It's just that it's fun. And like you're just able to just, experience. You're not really needing to do, I mean, besides trying to take the son of a bitch out, but like but like other than that, it's like it's not much like serious thinking, puzzle solving. It's just that you need to take out this thing. You have your task, try to get it. If you do, cool. If you don't, next game. It's not like it's not much. But I never really thought about how much of the task it was just to balance that, like balance between the ghost, like I mean with all the gadgets for the Ghostbusters and then the ghost abilities and stuff. I didn't think that it was that much. It was very challenging, but you're saying it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, because I mean that's the thing. It's like game, when it's I feel like it's called just developer blindness, where it's like when you're making a game, you're looking for this one thing, and so you don't see these other elements, and you don't play it a certain way. And so then when the game comes out and people play it openly however they want, there's these weird things like, for example, like at the beginning of when it came out, like the stun locking of the ghost with the PKE meter was pretty crazy. And so we balanced that, as soon as we could. But it was because when the team was playing, we would play a certain way. And then we saw online just these like insane people that are like truly communicating in this higher level, where they had a crazy loadout where they were just super fast all the time, and then they were stun locking, and then they were like, okay, your turn, and so like they would kind of bully the ghost, and then they would because his ghost is so stunned, that one guy would snipe the ghost with a trap, and it's like, holy fuck, like these guys are playing at such a higher level. Not that we are not playing, but like we're not going at it like must win, must destroy. It's like that's the great part about it. And so we're always keeping an eye on the league stuff. We're always keeping an eye on like YouTube and just our stats and our data. And like, oh, this ghost is losing too much. So we need to figure out ways that we can dial that ghost up, or we could figure out this ghost is always winning. So we need to figure out what that element is. And it's just like a constant iteration that, I mean, we were doing balances on Predator like 2 years in. So
yeah, I mean, that's
all about just making your game better.
I think we've been working on asymmetrical games for a while now. This is our third one, and we even had a chance to work on or support some of the stuff on Evolve as well. And so just learning over time, I think it's a lot easier nowadays to develop and put out an asymmetrical game. A lot of teams are starting to do it, and you see it, but I think it's tough because you have to release the game and then give it really almost a good few months or even a year to really get it right, because people are just so they play it, they consume it, they figure out all these different angles and all that kind of stuff. And that's probably the challenge of asymmetrical, is to make it really good. It just takes a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, because your standard first-person shooter, both sides have the exact same gear, and then it's done. It's like, oh well, we add this thing, both sides have it. Now they both have it, and you kind of like need to balance those pieces out. But when it's like one game versus another game, it's like, it's crazy.
Right. And I mean the overall feel while playing Ghostbusters itself is just a huge level of nostalgia. I mean, for me personally, but I think the music is also a big part of that. Like, I was actually quite impressed on I don't think it's Bernstein. Did y'all have any music from Bernstein? I can never say his name right.
Inspired by.
Yeah, it was definitely inspired by the Ghostbusters soundtrack. And we had to, obviously, we don't want to infringe on the original, but there was a lot of elements we took. And really the reason for it is because we wanted to, some of it is obviously budget, but we also want the streaming community to play the soundtrack without having copyright strikes. And that's always the challenge when you make games. And so a lot of what we did was really just kind of, Mark Rutherford, who's our music director, I mean, he's just so talented as a musician, and he's been around for a while and used to produce, Peter Gabriel records. He was one of the originators of jungle and drum and bass with Goldie, part of Metalheads. And so like he has this crazy history, but is also this traditional composer. And so we were always very inspired. And so we were actually we went to Cynthia, who has this instrument that I'm always going to mess up, but in the original Ghostbusters, when you see the Columbia logo, it's kind of, we always thought it was a theremin, but it's actually this instrument called an Ondain's Martineau, and it's a French instrument, a French synthesizer that looks almost like a piano or a keyboard. Everything's wooden, and you wear a ring that has a string, and the string is kind of what makes the pitch slide together. And so she played on the original film and played on Afterlife, and it was incredible to have her come down and kind of tell stories, and she's probably one of the only players in the world. I think Coldplay tours with this instrument, but outside of that, it's a very small community, and there's, I think she owns 3, and there's probably only, 4 or 5 original ones in the world left, and that was just kind of her thing. That was really cool.
That's so weird. It's like it just sounds like I've always thought it was a theremin. That is insane. So you could probably count the amount of people that probably on one hand that could probably play an instrument like that. Is it big or what?
It's crazy. It's crazy. You got to look it up. It's got like 3 different parts to it.
It has 3 different speakers, and they take like a Chinese ride cymbal or whatever is actually put into a box, and then a speaker plays against that, and that's one of the 3 sounds that it's mixed with. Like, it's such an odd, obscure instrument, crazy to play and learn to play. But she I think she just has it packed up in her car, so it's not huge. It's surprisingly probably small and somewhat portable. I mean, she has to take a couple trips to her car to bring out the instrument, but and then I think she keeps one in the United States, so when she does sessions out here, she has one in the US. She lives right outside of London, so she has her one in the UK, and then I think she did a show in France, so she has one in Paris, and you don't really want to ship it because not many people know how to repair it anymore, but that was one of the cool instruments he brought to it. And really just like, Bernstein used the DX7 was the Yamaha DX7 was something that was kind of new at the time that he used sparingly. And, even just the use of organ, because you don't think like we use the B3 organ and we typically think like soul music or rock and roll, but using that I forgot how evil that instrument, how evil an organ can sound. And so all those layers of instrumentation, I think, really added up to the tone of the soundtrack. So while we didn't, really follow a lot of the, I guess, music theory behind it or whatever, or, we did follow like a lot of the instruments and kind of took those inspirations. And so Mark just really nailed it. He did such a good job and had a team of composers. We recorded at Abbey Road, and that was where we did both Studio 1 and Afterlife was recorded in there. I believe the original was 2, but also we did Studio 2, which was where the Beatles recorded all their hits. So it was kind of just this crazy walk down memory lane, and everyone there was just walk down history that obviously, I guess not our memories, but so much history in the building, and how cool the staff was and how excited they were to have another piece of Ghostbusters history in those walls. And Lord of the Rings did their orchestral sessions there, so there's just so much history, and we were just amazed that they let us in to work there. So
that is awesome. I'm taking a look at the picture of this instrument, and it looks like it's in the court. Like, well, the picture looks like it's just like a piece of like moving equipment that you see in the back of a storage, but it's like, because it's all different shapes and sizes of the speaker. Well, okay, that I need to take it.
Weird.
It's very weird looking. And excuse me. And since the DLC came out, literally, I think it went into come out like 2 weeks ago, I believe, or about 2 weeks ago. I've been playing it nonstop because I've been like, after I saw that y'all introduced the real Ghostbuster skins, I was like, oh my god, I gotta get Egon. I gotta get Egon's stuff, and then the classic the trap and the blaster and all that. I just couldn't stop. So I finally got it actually yesterday.
Awesome.
Really amazing. Yeah, definitely loved it. Worth it. But I've also like, I mean, I didn't just realize this, but there are like an insane amount of Easter eggs in this game. And I was just wondering, I mean, clearly, Jared, you are a fan of Ghostbusters. I mean,
a little bit.
But like, how many people at Illfonic are like Ghostbuster fans there? Like, I mean, like, do they have that same kind of like oomph that you do, or what?
I doubt. Well, I mean, I'm probably one of the older guys in the studio, so I like I said, I saw it in the theater, and it just, you know, captured me. But I feel like it's kind of one of those things where it's like the younger guys have seen the film, their parents of course made them see it, but like for me, it's like, you know, my love for this was supported by my family too. Like, oh, isn't that funny? He loves Ghostbusters. Like, let's buy him some more toys. And an aunt wouldn't come by and give me Ghostbusters toys. So for me, it's like real Ghostbusters are just like one and the same. But a lot of the guys grew up with real Ghostbusters stuff. So when we were saying like, hey, we're making a Ghostbusters game, everyone's like, aren't we making a real Ghostbusters game? It's like, well, no, we're doing the cinematic version, but I've got this crazy idea. And so, you know, normally you wouldn't be able to mix the peanut butter and chocolate together. But it was amazing that like Ghost Core is like, okay, but we need to make sure X, Y, and Z things. And so it's been really cool that we're being able to kind of run with the ball on this and bring the real Ghostbusters into this and you know. So as far as the fans of Ghostbusters in the studio, Chuck of course is a big Ghostbusters fan. A lot of our guys are really big Ghostbusters fans. And if they hadn't really seen it, because like, you know, for example, like my lead designer or design director now, he never saw the second film. And so when we signed it, I was like, okay, we're gonna watch all of them. And you know, it was really cool that we got to kind of do it. He's like, oh man, now I get it. And he's been the one that's like, oh, we should get this and freeze framing and so like if they weren't a hardcore Ghostbusters fan, a lot of them are now, you know, hardcore Ghostbusters fans, which is really great.
That's fun. Yeah, that's great. And I mean, like, it's very interesting. Like, now I don't know. Did y'all announce the roadmap, the DLC roadmap? I wasn't really familiar if you did, or not.
So we're kind of keeping it all in the flux because with Ghostbusters Day and a bunch of other stuff, it's, you know, the cadence is roughly every quarter. We're gonna do something, but some things will be bigger than others and all of that, you know, like you know, next Halloween, you know, we're gonna come back with something really huge, which is really exciting. So
yeah, well, when y'all introduced the real Ghostbusters, I'm like, oh my god, the floodgates are open. I mean, you could literally put like I mean, Extreme Ghostbusters or maybe the female one, the one that came in the earlier 2000s and stuff. But I was like, oh my god, I was just so glad that y'all got the real Ghostbusters in there. Yeah, so that was great. And the DLC that came out was a big one. It was huge and relatively, and it was absolutely free. And with usual, you know, game as a service, like, you know, microtransactions are usually common to see. But y'all went a different direction and made this DLC and possibly the future ones future ones accessible to everybody who has the game itself. And was there a reason why y'all decided not to do a paywall for any of this in the game?
For this game, I'll let you run with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for this, we felt a game that, especially with the younger audience, you know, we wanted to make it for everyone and allow everyone to kind of touch all the good content. But I think for me, at least, because, you know, I have to obviously deal with the business side, I think it was getting and driving people to the base game and seeing, hey, there's a great game being supported, and we know long term that's going to drive new users to the game when other people see how well, or, the fans help spread the word, and that's really what we wanted. We didn't want somebody that, it's an E10 game, so someone 10 years old that's playing, we know that it's hard for them to get cash. And my daughter right now is saving up for a car for her dolls, and that's taken forever, right? So we wanted that to be accessible to the younger audience, number one, but also really just getting people back into the base game, talking about it, spreading the word, and everyone seeing that we're supporting it right, and having new users come in was the big long-term goal for that. So and we knew that there's all kinds of Ghostbusters fans out there. I mean, the first film my daughter saw was the 2016 one, and then we kind of took her back to the older ones and the recent one and Afterlife. So we want, going forward, it's like, okay, having DLC come and having all walks and shapes of Ghostbusters fans see it, and it might be a certain thing we drop that brings someone to come into and buy the game because the other stuff maybe didn't resonate with them. So that was really a lot of the thinking behind it. So
okay, I mean, I really appreciate it, because any kind of discount to make or make it lighter on my pockets to get to experience it. Thank you so much. My final question is what are some of y'all's personal favorite DLC items that you've incorporated into the game so far?
Easily the RGB stuff. Like it's I mean, we purposely, well, we didn't purposely, but like we made the customization evolve with this new DLC. So like, this was the first time that we've had fully, dialed in customization, so you could kind of make your character versus just like you just choose a person. And so with this game, we wanted to have just that, like, make yourself or make one of your favorite Ghostbusters. And so when we released the new DLC, we added more dials to the sliders, so you were able to get them a lot closer to that. But also like there's a lot of things that, like, just for if you're trying to make yourself, it's just like, oh, I can't make my nose look wrong like my nose. So that was the thing that we added that I really kind of got excited about, was just like, okay, that evolved more, and now you can have a lot more flexibility with your character to either make a person that you want or make a monster. And some of the hideous characters that people are making is really funny to me, but it's easily the RGB stuff, because it's just like, man, we did it, but also with that we added the shell. So like, the big thing for me is being, I'm not a purist. I'm not someone that's like, I don't like anything other than the gray suit and the 80s pack, but I do feel like, I min-max or I make my loadout, and the pack looks dope, but it doesn't look like the classic pack. Now you can actually make, your dials in and make your classic pack look correct. That was one of those things where like, oh yeah, this is really cool. So and then plus Muncher is really rad. It's just one of those things where it's like rad. all of the things that are coming that we can't talk about is also very, very exciting. There's a lot of really cool things coming ahead.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. How about you, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, the same. I think Muncher came out really well. The team worked really hard. I mean, it's definitely it was impressive by how much stuff came out, and the team did such an amazing job, because it is hard to launch a game and fight fires with a live service game that come out, and there's always at scale, there's always issues you find, or balance issues, and so for them to really balance it and then push hard on the real Ghostbusters stuff and Muncher was incredible to see. So there's some favorites that I have that are coming in the future too. So I would say for now it's definitely the real Ghostbusters stuff coming out, like Egon's hair. So
Yeah, I just hate the fact that y'all are teasing what's coming out. I totally understand though, but it's totally good. I'm looking forward to it.
We got to set this up so each time the new DLC comes out, we come back and talk to you about it. So
that is very true. I'll be talking for hours on it.
And if Jen wasn't listening in, I'm sure Jared would tell you everything.
I would have said everything by now.
Well, man, Jared, Chuck, thank you so much for stopping by, geeking out with me on Ghostbusters. I mean, like I said, I could talk literally for hours about this game. And I will have to say, because normally I don't usually play these kind of games. I don't usually play multiplayer game, first person shooter games. But then when it first came out, I was like, I'm totally hyped. I was totally hyped about it. And then when the DLC came out and then I found out what was in the DLC, I've been like just figuring it all out. I'm like, I got to get this. So y'all definitely did a good job of just keeping my attention to this game. So thank you so much. Y'all doing an excellent job.
It makes us happy to hear that you're having fun with it. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is like, this is definitely a love letter to the fans as well as the IP, because we're just hyped that it's doing so well, and people are excited about it, and it's really great. It's really great.
Oh, most definitely. And also, guys, if you don't know, Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed is currently out. You can get it on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, on the Xbox One, the Series X, Series S, and also on Microsoft on PC. I believe it's a Epic Games exclusive. So definitely, definitely check that out. Pick it up. You're going to have fun. Do not worry about this about the price. Just get it. It's really fun. It's really fun to get it. So guys, thank you so much for stopping by and listening. And but if you definitely like listening to awesome people like Chuck and Jared from Illfonic Games, you can definitely check us out on any podcast services out there on Pop Culture Gems, or go to our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, for the full content on everything that we like to do there. So once again, this is Davis signing off. Y'all take it easy.